Kia ora, good evening. The latest figures from the Real Estate Institute of New Zealand show the regional trend is falling in median house prices and sales volumes. The median property price has fallen $13,000 or 6.8% in just a month in Southland. Invercargill has seen an 11% fall in median house prices compared to May last year, while Gore is bucking the trend with a 17% increase. The eastern Southland town is also boasting a 24% rise in sales volumes compared to May last year, but volumes are down 13% in Invercargill for the same period. The number of days to sell in Southland has eased up from 43 in April to 47 in May. Epsom National List MP Paul Goldsmith won't say whether a deal's been done to secure the seat of Epsom for the ACT party. While there's been no public announcement of any deal in the seat, Mr Goldsmith has been absent from any media debates involving other candidates. Mr Goldsmith was in the south today campaigning in Invercargill and entertaining residents on the piano at Rowena Jackson Retirement Village. Hunter Andrews quizzed him on the Epsom situation.
Well, the most important thing in MMP politics is the party vote. And so everybody gets two votes. They get an electorate vote and a party vote. But it's the party vote that decides who gets to form the government. And so, I think you'll find that in every electorate, everybody is trying to send that message. But you're right, Epsom has been an interesting seat in the MMP environment for the last 2 or 3 elections. In the last election, I stood as the national candidate, but we deliberately focused only on the party vote. And we haven't decided what we're doing this time yet, but that, so that'll be something that the Prime Minister gives an indication on in time.
The media are making great things about the fact that you haven't fronted 4 debates with other candidates. Can we read anything into that at this stage?
No, not really.
You would have had something to say, surely.
Yeah. Media can speculate and do a story every day on Epsom and have a panel up every second day on the topic speculating about what will or won't happen. But there's not much in it for me to go on and participate in that. When we've got something to say, we'll say it.
What do the people of Epsom say to you? You're obviously representing them as a list MP and you'll be looking on them as constituents.
Yeah, well, my family and I live in Remuera, which is part of the Epsom electorate. Kids go to the local schools. We're very much part of that community, and I undertook at the last election to do my best to represent that electorate within the National Caucus and within the Parliament, and I've certainly done that. I think most people in that area are very determined to see John Key remain as Prime Minister and the national government remain in government, and so I think that's the overriding ambition. They're very pleased with the way that the government's going. They think in general, I think New Zealand's heading in the right direction, and very keen to have another 3 years if we can.
I guess we'll wait for any sort of deal in Epsom.
Yes, well, the Prime Minister's indicated that he'll be considering that over the next few weeks and making it clear what he's hoping for.
You're happy either way, though, whatever decision?
Oh yeah, well I'm very determined that we do well in the party vote, because that determines who's going to be in government. And I was prepared to do it in the last election. I'm prepared to do what the Prime Minister requires. But the main thing is, it doesn't. I'm based in Epsom. I live there. I do my best for the community, regardless of what role I'm in.
On Saturday, the New Zealand Police Force opened its doors to the public in the first coordinated National Police Open Day event. Hunter Andrews with more.
When the public encounter the long arm of the law, it's often in times of great distress and concern. Saturday's Open Day provided an opportunity to meet members of the frontline service and see, and in some cases handle, the tools they employ in everyday law enforcement. Inspector Olive Jensen was the official greeter at the front door of the Invercargill station. Visitors then got an introductory talk from Southland Area Commander Inspector Lane Todd. Previous Southern Open Days have attracted around 1,500. Saturday's proved no exception, with a steady stream of curious visitors.
We've had a good day, National Police Open Day, so I haven't been counting how many people have gone through, but we've certainly had good numbers, and people look like they've enjoyed themselves. Last year we ran an open day, we had about 1,500 people through, so I'd expect today we've had all of that through at this time.
Those on the tour saw where offenders are processed on site, where evidential breath and blood tests are taken, and cells where offenders are temporarily housed during processing. Also represented were the many support groups that provide extra eyes and ears in the community for the police.
Yeah, it's been a good opportunity to get people through today. It's all in the right reasons. Very positive, and it, yeah, as you said, gives a bit of people an insight behind the scenes, how police operate, and also some prevention messages we've been putting out there. How we've been preventing crime, creating less victims in our communities, and also showcasing some of our community groups who have really assisted. Not only Invercargill but Southland Police. Maori Wardens, neighbourhood support and our community patrol, all contribute greatly, and victim support to how we've made some really good gains in our community.
Yeah, of course, those neighbourhood support groups, you'd be encouraging them, police would. That's extra eyes, isn't it?
It is. It's all about the community looking after themselves, because we can only do so much. As you said, we're not there all the time, so it's about those community eyes that can report things to the police.
So people should get organising in their community.
They should, yeah, and contact City Council. Karen Blomfield is the lady to make contact there for neighbourhood support groups.
The armed offenders display proved a winner, as did that of Search and Rescue, whose live four-legged exhibit was a real hit. Hunter Andrews, South Today News.
It was a high-energy Sunday at Invercargill's Civic Theatre as the annual Aerobics and Hip Hop Festival for 2014 got underway. The festival's a fun, participation-based event open to any children currently in years 1 to 8 attending a New Zealand school, and is a chance for local children to give it a go and perform in a non-competitive environment. Participants performed aerobics and hip-hop routines created under the guidance of their school teachers, dance teachers and coaches. This year's event saw 180 participants who performed as individuals and in teams. The high-energy days are a good chance for kids to practice and hone their performances ahead of the regional finals in August. Stay with us after the break. New Zealand's Forgotten Lands, fibre optic plus fire and light. Welcome back. The weird and wonderful world of wearable art hit the stage in Invercargill on Friday night. From the walls of the galleries to the runway at the Ascot Park Hotel, Fibre Octave showcased wearable art designed to grace the human body. The brief to entrance was, it has to be art and it has to be wearable, and the creative ensembles on show were made with dramatic artistic design and had the essential wow factor. The Wearable Art Show and musical extravaganza featured musical comedy and operatic arias, as well as some wearable hair created by award-winning stylist Adrian Barclay. The show was presented by the Inner Wheel Clubs of Invercargill. Making sure much of publicly owned and loved areas managed by the Department of Conservation are not exploited for economic gain is behind an election year campaign being run by the Federated Mountain Clubs of New Zealand. I spoke to Robin McNeil about New Zealand's Forgotten Lands.
It's lands that was left over in 1987 when they ran out of time to enact the legislation to say this should be in a national park or a conservation park. Actually, it's no value at all for conservation. And so 30% of all of the land managed by DOC is still hasn't been classified. The Parliamentary Commissioner for the Environment last year said this is a real problem. We know it's a problem. In the last 4 years alone, we've had the Mokahanui River, a fantastic river up in Westland, that was going to be dammed and flooded by Meridian Energy. They backed off only because they felt it was uneconomic at the very end. We've had Bathurst Resources get the go-ahead to mine the Denniston area. Really that should have been in a national park, but no one ever got around to protecting it as a national park. And closer to home, it's only by the sheer good luck that we had a minister who looked at the whole thing afresh, at the Snowdon forest, which is these forgotten lands, didn't get a monorail through. The problem is that businesses think, oh, it's not a national park, it's not a conservation park, it can't be that important for conservationists, so we can have a crack at it.
Why is it necessary to protect the likes of the Remarkables? What could actually happen there in the future?
Well, who knows, but I mean, you could put a hotel in there probably of large, horrible size, and it would probably be quite difficult to do anything about it.
The Longwoods and places like Stewart Island, where potentially there could be mining opportunities, having this in place will just clarify that there's no point in going there or even going down the track looking for resource
That's
consent
right.
to do that exploratory work, because it wouldn't be an option for them.
That's right. So Stewart Island is a national park, so that got classified, and so everyone knows, yeah, there are minerals there. To get those minerals out, you probably have to demolish entire sides of hills to get the minerals from. No one goes wanting to mine there because they know there's no chance of getting permission. The public have decided, through public consultation process, that place is special. The Longwoods, that debate has never really been held. So there's a bit of gold mining going on there at the moment. The Chinese had a crack at it at the end of the 19th century. Do we really want to dig out the whole side of Otao, just to make a few people, probably overseas people, get a bit richer? Would that land be better used for tourism? I bet the locals would like to use it for hunting and for tramping and for picnics. So we've got to have that debate. This land has to be reclassified something better than a forgotten land. And actually the Department of Conservation needs money and motivation and a minister who really cares. We've got one at the moment, but we've got to make sure that that minister, not only does he care, but the Minister of Finance of the next Parliament actually says we care too, and we know the people of New Zealand care. It's a call for everyone to say, actually, we love our back country and our conservation. We want it, spend the money on it.
There are 8 areas around New Zealand that you're really targeting to try and get classification around. Yes. And Otago, Southland, you're looking at the Longwoods, the Takatimus.
We're focusing on the remarkables because that's something that everyone should be really surprised is not very well protected. But no, look, the ones in our area that we want to look at eventually also is the Longwoods, the Snowdons, Takatimu Mountains. I mean, goodness sake, it's a wonderful gem in Southland, and here it is, it's up for grabs, really.
A Midwinter Festival provided the perfect event to celebrate the darker months with a burst of fire and light on Saturday night. Hundreds of paper lanterns were made in the lead up to this year's Glengarry Fire and Light Midwinter Festival, and along with glass jar lanterns made on the night were paraded as part of the show. The family night out was full of singing and laughter with the school choir, poetry and talented young entertainers. Medieval knights captured the crowd's attention with the clashing of swords, while others donned glow face and body painting, which lit up in a special disco tent, the perfect place to make the glow paint shine. And those that loved the big band sound would have had their craving more than satisfied yesterday at the Southland Museum and Art Gallery. The Invercargill Big Band, formerly known as the Crazy Rhythm Big Band, took the audience through decades of big band music, from jazz standards from the 1940s to more contemporary pieces. The band is led by saxophonist Paul King, who recently took over from musical director Bruce Chilton. Mr. King led the big band through the 2-hour performance, drawing from its large repertoire of songs collected since its formation in the late 1970s. And that's all from the news desk this Monday. Next on Sport, post-match action from the All Blacks test in Dunedin on the weekend. From us, the news team, good night.